men, you've been lied to. Women don't always sleep with men just because of looks or love. It's deeper, it's hidden, and most guys never see it. In this video, I'll reveal the 4 secret drivers that push women into bed. Reasons rooted in psychology, status, rebellion, and escape. If you don't understand the one, she sleeps with the man who makes her feel seen. Forget the Hollywood myth that women sleep with men purely out of physical attraction. The hidden driver, the one that most men never notice, is emotional validation. A woman wants to feel seen, desired, and valued, and when a man gives her that emotional high, it's you'll keep getting blindsided lips the switch. Think about the modern woman's life. She's bombarded with male attention on social media, likes, comments, DMs, but it's shallow, faceless validation. Most of it feels cheap. Then she encounters a man who makes her feel genuinely unique, who locks in on her with presence and makes her feel like the only woman in the room. That man has already bypassed her defenses. Women are far more emotionally wired than men. While men can compartmentalize attraction, separating desire from emotional connection, women rarely do. If you make her laugh when she expected boredom, if you remember her details when everyone else forgets, if you ground her in a way no one else can, she feels something deeper than flattery. She feels chosen. And that sensation is intoxicating. Here's the kicker. It doesn't matter if you're her type physically. Emotional validation overrides physical checklists. You've seen women date men shorter, older, even less conventionally attractive. Why? Because those men triggered her emotional craving to feel like she mattered. The Stoics understood this dynamic. They taught that humans are driven not just by logic but by passions. Emotions that, if unguarded, can override reason. When a woman feels validated, passion overtakes her logic. She may even break her own rules, telling herself, "I never do this," while her body betrays her words. What most men get wrong is trying too hard. Overcompensation, constant compliments, desperate attention doesn't validate, it suffocates. Genuine validation comes from presence and restraint. It's when you notice what others miss. It's when you affirm her worth without losing your own. That balance is rare, and it's why women sleep with the men who strike it. So, the hidden driver is not raw lust alone. It's emotional validation. When she feels truly seen, her body follows. 2. Sleeping with a man to break her own rules. The second hidden driver is rebellion. Using intimacy as a way to escape monotony, break rules, or defy the standards she's set for herself or others have imposed on her. And men underestimate how powerful this driver is. Many women live under invisible cages, family expectations, societal pressures, their own internal good girl identity. She's supposed to behave to be proper, to follow the script, but desire thrives in rebellion. When she meets a man who represents something outside her cage, sleeping with him becomes less about the act itself and more about liberation. This is why bad boys have always had disproportionate success. It's not their tattoos or leather jackets. It's the energy of defiance. They symbolize freedom, unpredictability, danger. For a woman trapped in a life of routines, responsibilities, and rules, that energy is irresistible. By giving herself to that man, she feels like she's breaking free. But rebellion doesn't always mean reckless chaos. Sometimes it's subtle. She might be engaged to a safe man, but cheat with someone who awakens the parts of her she suppressed. She might swear she'd never sleep with someone on the first date until she meets the man who excites her enough to shatter that rule. The contradiction isn't hypocrisy. It's proof of the rebellion driver. Stoic psychology warns us about this. People often act against their own declared values, not because they're liars, but because passion overrides principle. A woman rebelling through intimacy isn't thinking long-term. She's living in the thrill of breaking her own boundaries. Here's the danger for men. Mistaking rebellion for love. Just because she sleeps with you in a burst of defiance doesn't mean she's loyal or that she'll stay. You were the spark that broke her cage. But once the rebellion high fades, she may return to her old patterns or chase another thrill. And yet this rebellion driver is incredibly strong. Many women won't admit it, but they've slept with men not out of deep love or physical craving, but because the act itself was rebellion against their identity, their parents' expectations, or society's rules. It wasn't about him, it was about the liberation she felt in the moment. So while validation makes her feel valued, rebellion makes her feel free, and both can drive her into bed faster than logic would ever allow. 3. Social clout and status, sleeping with men to gain power. One of the most uncomfortable truths, and one men rarely want to accept, is that women sometimes sleep with men not out of love or attraction, but because of the status that comes with it. Desire isn't always about the man himself. It's about what being with him represents. Humans are status-driven creatures, and women in particular are sensitive to social hierarchy. A man with resources, influence, or social clout doesn't just bring himself to the table. He brings access to a higher tier of life. When a woman sleeps with such a man, she's not just indulging her body, she's elevating her social rank, if only temporarily. Think of celebrities, athletes, powerful businessmen. Many of them aren't conventionally attractive, yet they rarely struggle with female attention. Why? Because sleeping with them provides a woman with the sense of importance, an ego boost, and sometimes tangible benefits like connections, money, or even just bragging rights. The Stoics would call this externals, things outside of virtue that people chase to feel validated. A woman driven by externals sees intimacy as a shortcut to clout. She's not chasing the man. She's chasing what proximity to him signals. Even if it's subconscious, she wants to be the woman who got him, because that separates her from the faceless crowd of women who didn't. This is also why some women sleep with men in a certain social circle. Maybe she doesn't even like him deeply, but he represents access to a world she wants. VIP tables, travel, high-status gatherings. To her, the act is transactional in its core. She gives intimacy, and in return, she receives a badge of elevated social proof. The trap for men is ego-linness. If you're that man with status, it's easy to mistake her hunger for clout as genuine desire. She'll act enthusiastic, maybe even obsessive, but the root isn't you. It's the social currency attached to you. And when a bigger opportunity comes along, she may switch without hesitation. This driver isn't always about materialism. Sometimes it's about reputation. A woman might sleep with a man simply because he's the alpha in her circle, the leader of the group, the guy every other man respects. By being with him, she absorbs some of that energy. Her desire is less about intimacy and more about basking in the glow of status. So, here's the takeaway. If a woman's primary attraction to you is rooted in what you represent instead of who you are, she's being driven by this hidden status dynamic. And as the Stoics warned, anything built on externals crumbles when those externals disappear. 4. Emotional escape, using sex as therapy for inner turmoil. The final hidden driver is perhaps the saddest, and it explains why some women sleep with men who seem totally wrong for them. It's not validation, rebellion, or status. It's escape. Life is heavy. Many women today carry unresolved trauma, loneliness, or inner emptiness. Instead of facing it, they chase moments of distraction. Sex becomes an outlet not because of deep attraction, but because it numbs the pain, silences the overthinking, and provides temporary relief. A woman might sleep with a man after a breakup, not because she's moved on, but because she's desperate to distract herself from the grief. She might give herself to someone she barely knows just to fill the void of loneliness for a night. For her, the intimacy isn't about him, it's about anesthetizing herself from the emotions she doesn't want to face. This is why so many women admit to sleeping with men they didn't even like. The driver wasn't attraction, it was therapy. For a few hours, she could feel wanted, desired, connected. She could quiet the inner chaos by drowning it in physical closeness. From a Stoic lens, this is the most dangerous dynamic for men. Why? Because you risk becoming her coping mechanism. She'll lean on you not because she sees your true worth, but because you provide a temporary escape. When the pain fades, or another distraction appears, she may vanish, leaving you confused about why it felt so intense in the moment. Pay attention to timing. Did she rush into intimacy after a breakup? After a major fight with her family? After confessing deep struggles? That's often not attraction, it's escape. And men who mistake escape sex for genuine desire usually end up blindsided. Here's the harsh truth. A woman who sleeps with you to escape herself will never stay. Because once the high wears off, she's left facing the same problem she ran from, and you were just a temporary bandage. So while validation, rebellion, and status all drive attraction in their own ways, this final driver, escape, is pure survival psychology. It's not about you. It's not even about desire. It's about her need to silence the storm inside, even if just for a night.